Now, if you are like me and RFK was one of the major drivers behind which direction that you voted in November, then you have to be asking yourself, what is going on with this guy right now? And I'm seriously asking, what is going on? Now, if you pay close attention to the channels that I follow, like Candace Owens, like Dave Smith, and just overarching news stories, then you know there are a lot of accusations floating around that he is compromised and is being blackmailed into staying away from certain topics and being forced into focusing on others. Okay. And we're going to get very specific about what we're talking about here. And I'm going to throw the same questions to you that I am asking myself right now. Okay. So this is the story that I set out to do initially before I really started doing this and found a bunch of other things. Now, it was about RFK going to Texas because of the two kids that died from, contracting measles, and supposedly, their unvaccinated status led to them dying. Now, I live in Texas. I have 3 daughters, all 3 of which have not taken shots. Much of that due to studies that were shared by RFK that my wife read and shared with me. So him endorsing those shots now is very confusing to me, first of all. But I think that I want to take this another way because there's a much bigger reason that I am concerned about the direction that he's going. And that's right here. Okay. So do you guys remember this? Right? Do you guys remember this? This is November 15th, 2024. Very recent. Okay. And this is a quote from RFK. Quote, FDA's war on public health is about to end. If you work for the FDA and are part of this corrupt system, I have 2 messages for you. 1, preserve your records. 2, pack your bags. So that's a very crystal clear message. He's an attorney. Okay. I don't need to ask myself, I wonder what he meant. When he says keep your records, what he means is they are investigating you and you are going to be prosecuted at the least. And there's going to be civil trials and you're going to be criminally prosecuted. Okay. So bottom line is when he's been in office, it's not like it's been a very long time since he's been in office. It's been a couple months, but to the point that people like Candace Owens and Dave Smith have been making, and I'm going to show you this right now. Okay. They've been asking the question, which is, why are we focused on all of these other things? Now, this whole thing in Texas, the second half of the video, I'm going to tell you specifically about the outbreak in Texas and his reaction to it, which I find very bizarre. But the first thing is this right here, and I'm going to let Candace and Dave Smith share my exact feelings on it as well. And this is titled, Compromised, RFK Jr. and Hollywood Exposed. And if you are not following Candace Owens right now, I cannot stress enough, she is the best creator on this platform. She is the most well-researched. She's the most well-spoken. She's gorgeous. She's 9 months pregnant and she's fascinating. When I was in Cancun, I literally looked forward. We're in Cancun, 7 days, me, my wife, my 3 kids, all-inclusive resort. And I still was looking at my time to see when's it going to be 3:00? Because I don't want to miss Candace's live stream. Okay. Like I am fanning out on Candace right now. Nonetheless, let's watch this. And by the way, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate that. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I have no idea what's going on with my channel right now. All I know is that no new viewers are seeing my content in nearly every single video. Like every video. I can look at the analytics. It's unbelievable. It's like 45,000 views, 44,820 from return viewers. Anyone who has a YouTube channel will know that is extraordinarily weird. And it started right when I started covering that guy right there. But if you are here and have not subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it if you would do that. And if you guys would comment, share my stuff, and, like the video, that would be very helpful because I'm trying to break out of whatever kind of algorithmic jail that I find myself in. But let's rock and roll. Listen to this.
Oh, okay. It does not matter who you elect. It seems to be the same thing that we see over and over again. Politicians selling out the people that voted for them. I think Dave Smith, you guys know I love The Problem with Dave Smith is his podcast, summed it up really well when he looked at just the last 30 days of politics and said this. Take a listen.
I couldn't imagine whoever else the director of national intelligence was going to be being better than Tulsi Gabbard. I couldn't imagine whoever the head of the FBI being better than Kash Patel, or whoever the health secretary being better than Bobby Kennedy. But at the same time, you got Tulsi, cheering on leveling an apartment building. Literally, as they're saying to him, hey, we traced we traced missile guy back to his apartment building where his girlfriend lives. So we leveled the building, and she's sending like thumbs up emojis and saying, job well done, team. Every time I hear from Kash Patel lately, it's never about the criminals in government anymore. This guy was on a goddamn media tour for 2 years. Everything he ever said was that there's all these criminals in the FBI. We got to get these people who committed all these heinous crimes against our republic. Not talking about that anymore today. Now he's talking about bringing down drug dealers and sex traffickers. It's like, okay, but that's not what you were saying before. Then Bobby Kennedy is out fighting the real health crisis, which is anti-Semitism. So I'm just saying, looking around the room, looking around the administration at this point, I think we got the positives out of Donald Trump that we would get. But man, this all just points in such a bad direction. And it's disappointing. It's just really disappointing.
Now, I like to look at everything from both sides. And so I will say one thing at least, which is sometimes things look a lot different when you get on the other side of the veil. Do I think that's what's going on here? Unlikely, unlikely. I mean, the most like, thing that I can reference from my own life is like when I was in a fraternity, we always looked at the guys who were on the e-board, which is basically the government of your fraternity. It was like, look at these guys. They're just trying to break our balls. They won't let us party. Oh, we're not allowed to drink at the house when the girls come. Like, dude, learn how to be a real frat guy, you guys, and whatever else. I mean, it's a bad example. And then once I got on e-board and I was one of the like 6 guys who had to actually run things, it looks absolutely completely 180 degrees. You're like, you think we don't want to party? It's the Greek board. They're going to kick us off campus, you fucking idiots. Okay. Now, this is not that, obviously. I'm just saying, like, I have had the experience before where things look very different when you actually get into the role. But with RFK, what possible way could you go from, we are going to put all of these collaborators in prison, to now anti-Semitism is the number one health crisis in America? You're like, what? How could that be the number one health crisis in America? You think I forgot about all of the statistics that you just shared related to like diabetes and chronic illness and the shots and the kids and the autism rates and all of that? So did I forget that? Did I forget you said you're going to put all these guys in prison? What are you talking about? How could you say a thing like that? How? And that is why they are saying that he might be compromised. Now, I'm not saying that the spread of anti-Semitism is not a problem. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not getting involved in that conversation. My point is that when you end up in government, you are there because we chose you to be there. And if you are a person like RFK, you know exactly why we chose you to be there. We didn't put you there because you were standing next to the big guy. That, at least not, I didn't. I said many times on my channel, if I had to choose between that guy right there and RFK for president, I would have chosen RFK, and anyone who follows my content will tell you exactly why I said it, because I made that perfectly clear. It's because I said I believed that his knowledge of the legal system and his deep understanding of how all of these things fit together is going to lead to his ability to make them pay for what they've done, what they did. Injured kids, the lockdowns, the lost income, the just stone corruption that invaded our society on a level that is hard to even quantify. But he was going to do it for us. He was going to go in there. He was going to roll heads down the street, the ones who deserved it. And the first thing that we're talking, anti-Semitism, like, again, that's great. Take that on if you think it's important. But we're talking about food dye, also important. We're talking about fluoride in the water, important. But what about the main thing that we've been talking about for years? Like, what do you think you're doing there? And by the way, the dude on the right of Dave Smith is Robbie the Fire Bernstein. That dude is my boy. He's a really good dude. He's a comedian. He is also a podcaster. He's got a great channel, got a great brand, and I highly recommend you go seek him out and watch his stuff. He is a stud. I can vouch for him on a personal level. I should have him put me with Dave Smith. I don't know Dave Smith, but I love his stuff.
I knew I would be disappointed, but it is on the level of a Greek tragedy that these guys had this mandate and this opportunity, and they're just it all up.
Yeah, you know what? Now that Dave Smith puts it that way, I feel like maybe it's not us that's pivoting, but it's them. Like there's just some magic pivot that happens when you get to DC. And to build on that, may I ask the question, who the heck is controlling RFK Jr.'s X account? Am I allowed to ask that question? Because I quite literally was so inspired by this man. So many people were, obviously, because he was a major piece of the puzzle in terms of bringing people to the center, which needed to happen. It needed to happen that all of us were brought towards the center so that we could recognize where the real evil exists, right? And it's not left versus right. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's whatever the hell is going on in DC versus the rest of us.
Exactly. And that is the mandate that we sent RFK to go address, especially specifically in the pharmaceutical industry, because very fresh on everyone's mind is what happened during the pandemic. So how is there A, nothing going on there at all, B, the first thing that we hear, the very first thing that we hear from RFK in related to the pharmaceutical industry and specifically the shots is this. He says the MMR vaccine is the best way to fight against measles, the best way to effectively stop the spread. And you're all, wait, what did you? That's your opening line. This has been your main focus for like a decade, 2 decades. I don't understand. Which brings us to some of the accusations that are being levied in his direction, which are very concerning because no one supports RFK more than me. And I'm not writing him off yet at all. I'm just concerned. Now I want to show you guys one more thing, and then I want to talk about the actual specifics of this thing in Texas. And I want to show you this on Ian Carroll's X, and apparently he's going to drop a YouTube video about it in 10 minutes. So this actually should be up by the time you guys see this. So, okay, check this out. So this is him referencing things that RFK specifically said about the MMR vaccine, and then now what he's saying now.
So, quote, the most effective way to prevent the spread of measles is the MMR vaccine. On to the text message that I got yesterday. They're perplexed because what RFK said in person is the opposite of what he said in this post. This book was published by Children's Health Defense, and it's called The Measles Book. And then a foreword by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Why have the benefits of the measles vaccine been exaggerated and the risks understated? Because these vaccines are a cash cow. Quote, measles outbreaks have been fabricated to create fear that in turn forces government officials to do something. Obviously, that is misinformation and, bad science. And anyone that would question the efficacy and the safe and effectiveness of the V things clearly is a misinformation spreader. So just to clarify, our stance on this show is that those V things are extremely safe and effective.
Hey, listen, I know better than to disagree with that, But anyway, he's got the same concerns as me, obviously, and you should definitely go check out. He's got a new YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. He has great content, obviously. And now let's get into the details of this Texas outbreak that we're talking about. Now, as of this moment right now, Candace Owens is live streaming about RFK and some accusations that he is potentially compromised in his current position. Now, I would love to not believe those accusations, but this whole thing that's going on in Texas with him is, I got to be honest, I don't know what I'm looking at, man. I have no idea what I'm looking at. And I am very curious to hear what you guys think is going on, because all of a sudden after how many years, guys, how many years have we listened to RFK talking about the potential dangers of vaccines in certain situations? Now, again, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a lot of different things at once, but like, all of a sudden now he's like endorsing the MMR vaccine. Now this story hits especially close to home because I live in Texas, and let me give you a little CBS News version of what's going on, and then we're going to start talking about RFK's endorsement of things that I thought he definitely did not endorse, and these accusations that he's being blackmailed.
And a second unvaccinated child has died of measles in West Texas. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. attended the funeral yesterday for the 8-year-old girl and voiced support for the measles vaccine. Janet Shamlian reports from Lubbock, Texas.
Beyond that rural area, measles has now spread to a daycare here in Lubbock. The child, who health officials believe was the first to become ill, was not vaccinated. 7 children are now infected. 1 is in the hospital.
We're inviting everybody in to come get that vaccine.
We sat down with Lubbock's health director, Catherine Wells, to talk about concerns now that measles is spreading beyond where the outbreak started. And this has got to frighten every parent across the country with a child in daycare.
Yeah, and we're pushing out. They actually moved Lubbock County into the outbreak zone as of this morning. Yeah. My next concern is the next daycare.
Wells says she was encouraged to hear the Secretary of HHS, RFK Jr., publicly endorse the vaccine. Today, 5 Texas counties were added to the measles outbreak zone, including here in Lubbock.
So anyone who knows anything about me should understand why this is so close to home. A, I live in Texas. B, I have a 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 12-year-old, girls, all unvaccinated. And third, did you guys hear RFK endorse the MMR vaccine? Because, what, dude? I'm sorry, what did you say, guy? I'm pretty sure that half the reason that my wife is so, I don't know, like apprehensive about doing that with our kids has to do with research that she heard from RFK about what the dangers of those shots are. Okay. I know that too. I know that. So what are we talking about? Are you serious? Like what? How could that possibly be? Right? Okay, like everybody needs to make a decision on who the credible people are and then make your decision based on that. And so RFK calls the vaccine the most effective way to stop the spread. And you're like, okay, so what are you saying exactly? Are you suggesting that we do that? Or are you like, what? Because as I understand it, you said they're not safe, right? You said that we need to get in with the pharmaceutical companies and make the vaccine safe. Okay, no one's saying vaccines are not a good option for stopping, viruses, diseases, etc. At least that's not what I'm saying. But what we've been saying is that the fact that the pharmaceutical companies have indemnity from any kind of, criminal or civil liability in the event that they hurt someone, that's the problem, because they make the shots unsafe, because they use cheap stuff. They don't really care that much if they injure kids, or they could make them much safer if they made them a little bit more expensive for them to make. Like, this is the conversation we've been having. And now it's just kind of like, well, we got some cases here in Texas and somebody died. So yeah, everybody should go get the shot. I don't understand what's going on. Okay. So let's read this story and then we're going to get into the blackmail stuff, because that is where we, there's a lot more to the story. So the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention has begun redeploying staff to respond to a deadly outbreak of measles in Texas. A week after steep layoffs, a team of 3 deployed yesterday to meet with the county and state officials to assess the immediate needs to respond to this outbreak. The team is meeting with officials again. Health and Human Resources Secretary RFK said Sunday that the CDC would be redeploying to Texas at its governor's request, with another unvaccinated child dead in the measles outbreak. An 8-year-old girl was the second fatality there this year. So there's been 2. So, again, I can't stress enough, man, I don't know if you guys can see my arm, but my hair, as soon as I say dead 8-year-old girl in Texas, my hair stands on end, because that, that's insane, dude. Now, one thing I will definitely say, I don't understand. Okay. I've seen the Brady Bunch episode. Okay. I know that everyone used to get measles. I know this to be true. I've read all about it. Everyone got measles. All of your parents, everyone, well, if you're, 30 plus, all of your parents got the measles. Okay. Now, if you're under that, all of your parents got chickenpox. All of us. Every one of us got chickenpox. My parents took me to a party and intentionally infected me with chickenpox. That's a thing that happened, okay? They used to call them chickenpox parties. And they did that because we got lifelong immunity. And it was like, then we avoid getting shingles when we're older or whatever, okay? Because like if you got chickenpox when you were older, it was very, very different, like very, very dangerous. So like a kid would get chickenpox and all the parents would be like, wait, who's got chickenpox? And they would go put all the kids in a room and they would get the kids to get the virus intentionally. I know that sounds totally insane, but that is what happened. Now, with measles, I don't understand how now measles is a terrifying thing that is like knocking people off. Did they juice it up? Are we talking gain of function? I don't understand. Why is death such a serious concern with measles now when it never was back then? I don't get it, dude. Anyway. So once the assessment is complete, more CDC staff will be sent to Texas per Secretary Kennedy's order and the governor's request. The first teams deployed to Texas arrived on March and returned to CDC on April 1st. Multiple agency staff working on the CDC's measles response were among the thousands cut from the agency last week. Handful of agencies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so bottom line, though, is Kennedy calls vaccine most effective way to stop measles spread. While in Texas, Kennedy also posted to X that the most effective way to prevent the spread of measles is the MMR vaccine. The MMR vaccine protects against measles, mumps, rubella, and is normally given in 2 doses in early childhood. Kennedy's range of statements about the measles vaccine in recent weeks have drawn scrutiny from health experts, including a Fox News interview in which he falsely inflated the shot's risks. Oh, really? Did he? Really? Do you have any statistics to defend that he falsely inflated the shot's risks? In a later post, Kennedy also said he had met with 2 extraordinary healers who he said have healed some 300 measles-stricken Mennonite children during aerosolized budesonide clarithromycin. Using aerosol budesonide, whatever that is. Budesonide can sometimes help to treat respiratory illness, reducing inflammation in the lungs, said Professor Dr. James Campbell of the University of Maryland in an email in March. CBS News recently reached out to Campbell after Kennedy previously hailed miraculous instantaneous recovery from use of these treatments. Campbell said in 2025, we should not have to treat measles in the U.S. because it's completely preventable. But of course, like all preventable diseases, we do. Okay, so what does that mean? So clarithromycin, an antibacterial drug, has no effect on viruses like measles, but can be used by doctors to treat co-infections from some bacterial pneumonias that sometimes develop in infected children. Campbell said, however, it does not work for all bacteria. These choices should be made on an individual basis by the doctors, not as sweeping recommendations for all children with measles. I mean, that's basically our argument about all of it. Sweeping statements about how those singular choices related to treatments of measles in general. Vaccination will prevent measles, but for those who do get measles, rigorous studies and or anecdotal reports will help us to treat them. Okay, I like this guy. Kennedy's embrace of alternative therapies has been contradicted by other health experts, including former Trump administration officials. This is like the way they do this is so ridiculous, man. Oh, this is a former Trump official. You're all, what did he do? Okay, like when? In 2016, before Trump understood that the entire deep state was working against him? My children and grandchildren will not die of measles because they are vaccinated, and there is no substitute nor any effective treatment for measles. Oh, really? I think we just went over one. Dr. Brett Giroir, an advisor to the department this year, wrote in an opinion piece published in Real Clear Health last week. One child's death from measles is a tragedy, not only for the family and for the community, but also for our nation. We can't stop measles. Really, what can we do? Let's not wait for another tragedy. What does that even mean, dude? Okay. What does that even mean?